Good evening, folks. I know it's been a little while. We had a hiatus last week. I basically just decided last minute that just needed a break there for a week or so, but we are back with a brand new episode and a bunch of stuff to talk about to catch you up on all the news of the last 2 weeks at this point. So this massive, crazy snowmageddon apocalypse, whatever, in Texas, that's still going on, and that's craziness. There's been a lot of memes and jokes and stuff about these weak Texans in the South that can't handle a little bit of snow or ice or whatever. But we do have to remember that they are citizens. And honestly, if we get down to the nitty-gritty of it, the reason that that is all happening is because of a failure of the government itself. They were basically very unprepared for this because of ties to big oil and big industry and big money, which again shows how big money basically screws everything. And that's why they were not prepared for what went down. And also, granted, I mean, houses over there are not designed to withstand the same amount of like winter weather and things that we're used to here in Michigan, which is where I am. We should probably stop with the jokes about these weak Texans and everything because they don't really have any control over what their shit government does. Kowtow to the richest, most powerful forces, and then that causes these dangerous side effects like the ones that we're seeing now. On top of that, all of these GOP members and members of the Texas government saying, look at how all these wind farms are freezing and this is all the more reason that new environmental technologies don't work and we need to rely on oil. No, the reason that that's happening is again because they didn't invest any money into those wind farms or any of those newer technologies, and they essentially have the cheapest possible forms of those technologies. If you look all over the rest of the world and you look and even like in other states and things that have those technologies, that is not an issue ever. Basically what they did, I'll lay it out. So essentially they didn't want to use the new technology because they make so much freaking money from oil companies. So they gave as little money as possible to the production of these wind farms and solar panels and things like that in their states. And what that does is essentially anything that you don't throw a lot of money at, you're not going to get high quality. They got low quality panels, they got low quality wind turbines that had side effects. Now that those side effects are happening, these hypocritical members of the right, not even the right, science deniers, are trying to claim that that is proof that that doesn't work. It's really all bullshit at the end of the day. They are literally trying to spin the story and write the book to try to once again stand in the way of progress. And in this case, progress means actually saving our planet. It's asinine, it's irresponsible, it's grotesque, and it needs to be called out, which is why I'm bringing that up. I really, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, hope that the citizens of Texas are safe and that they're okay, that we are sending help because we need to. But all of the people out there, specifically the politicians that are trying to blame this on newer environmental technology, you can get the hell right out of here because that is not at all what's happening. That's all I have to say about that. Oh, another thing. So Ted Cruz, you know, the love child of the vampire uncle from the Munsters and Ronald Reagan. Go look at a picture of Ted Cruz and tell me that's not the case, because it's totally the case. In the middle of this massive winter snowstorm pandemic, took off with his family to Cancun, copying out of the playbook of his buddy Governor Chris Christie, or I guess they're not really buddies because Chris Christie really hates him, as does essentially everyone else. He went off to Cancun with his family to escape the winter storm instead of staying and helping his people. When they asked him why he did that, he said he wanted to be a good father and take his daughters to Cancun. This slimeball, horrible person of a man blamed his children for his insane decisions. I really dislike Ted Cruz. Most people dislike Ted Cruz. Most people in the Republican Party don't even like Ted Cruz. And this is yet another reason why. Meanwhile, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other members of the squad and other members of the Democratic Party, including Beto O'Rourke, who drove, I believe it was like 12 hours from his hometown to the capital of Texas, essentially helped fundraise a millions upon millions of dollars to help the citizens. And keep in mind, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't even live in Texas. Neither does like Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar, but they're all out there helping while their Senator Ted Cruz just abandoned them at like the worst point in time. Ted Cruz will go down in history as probably one of the worst senators or politicians in the history of this country, with good reason. Good on you, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Good on you, the rest of the squad. Good on you, Beto O'Rourke, who I hear might be running for governor of Texas. So fingers crossed for that. I know he tried his hand at unseating Ted Cruz, and then he did try his hand at running for president, both of which kind of failed. But that guy has a lot of charisma, and I think he's going places. So hopefully that actually leads somewhere. So again, good on AOC, good on the squad, good on the Dems for stepping up yet again when leadership is severely lacking on the right. I try to be as nonpartisan as possible, or as partisan as possible. It's just hard when there's a group of people on one side that are so clearly uncaring about the people in this country. It's just infuriating. Next up, we talked about the impeachment process and how that all played out. He was last week, or the 2 weeks ago, we talked about how he was not impeached by the House again, which is just really discouraging as well. But again, we have to remember, we got to keep the passion. We got to keep the fight alive. The fight is bigger than one man. Even number 45, it's bigger than him. Karma is real, and he will get what is coming to him one way or the other. Some court is going to take him to task on things, and he will answer for his wrongdoings. So I have no doubt that'll happen. It's just taking a bit longer, and that is discouraging, but we just got to keep going with the fight. So the next big thing is Bernie Sanders has been kind of leading the charge with the Dems for adding the $15 minimum wage to the COVID relief bill, and the Republicans keep fighting it. So let me lay this out really quick. So these senators who make, on average, 6 digits a year, $100,000 at least, they are saying that $15 is too high to pay as a minimum wage. Now keep in mind, the minimum wage has not been updated in the last, I believe it's 8 years, since 2012. And in that time, housing costs have gone up, rent has gone up, standard cost of food has gone up. All of that is increasing. But yet, the amount of money that people are taking home from their jobs is not. And you hear all these people from previous generations saying, oh, well, when I was your age or when I was that age, I just was smart and saved my money. No, what happened was that when they were our age, they were able to work a 40-hour-a-week job. And on that job, which mind you, also most of the time didn't require a college degree. A lot of people got right out of high school and got right into jobs that were paying well enough at the time to be able to provide for a family of multiple children, buy your own house, get a car. That is not possible anymore. We are essentially living in a welfare state at the moment. A huge swath of our nation is not able to afford rent. They can't afford food for their families, and they can't afford basic necessities. So personally, I don't really know. That whole argument of somebody at McDonald's doesn't deserve to get paid $15 an hour. I'm sorry, the person who's working a full week and providing you a very essential service doesn't afford or doesn't deserve to have a life of value, and not even comfortably, but basically live and get paid enough to have shelter of their own. That's just the most inhuman thing I've ever heard. I don't care if I have to pay an extra 50, even, $1 for a Big Mac, if it means that the person working there can afford a house and can afford to feed their family. Not even a house, an apartment even, just something. So that they don't have to fear about either relying on family or living on the streets. It's crazy. I don't want to hear any more of these politicians who make tons of money per year, have multiple houses, say how these people that want more minimum wage are a drain on the economy. No, this is another misconception. Basically, it's rich people telling middle-class people that poor people are stealing their money and making them worse off, when in the meantime, all the rich people are essentially hoarding this money, going through loopholes that are not afforded to the rest of us. And that is essentially creating a huge gap in this country. The rich people keep getting richer and richer and richer. And the other thing is, when rich people get money, they don't pump it back into the economy. They put it in accounts, they hide it, and it literally does us no benefit whatsoever. When middle class people and lower class people make money, they use that to buy goods and services and cars and homes, and essentially the constant flow of money keeps our economy booming, and it improves the economy for everybody. So it's like a no-brainer. I don't understand why we wouldn't want to be putting more money in the pockets of people who are actually going to be helping us. It's insane. If the minimum wage had increased at the same amount as, like I said, increase in housing costs, increase in food costs, increase in all that, theoretically, really what we should be fighting for is a $20 minimum wage. $15 is honestly already a compromise from what it should be. $15 is not even that astronomical or crazy of an idea, and anybody who says otherwise is just greedy and also probably doesn't understand how the economy works. There's a lot of people who say, oh, you shouldn't talk about how much you make. That is a tool, again, used by the upper class or management or ruling class, because they know that if people talk to each other about how much they make, it'll essentially cause people to realize that they are not getting paid nearly enough for what they're doing, and it'll cause people to form together and fight for higher wages and more benefits as they should. For instance, I make about $20 an hour doing the customer service job that I do. There's a lot of people who say, oh, so you think that, because I deal with a lot of complex situations with customers and everything like that. And there's people who say, you think that people who flip burgers should make almost as much as you. And I resent that statement. They're doing an insanely essential service. And two, it creates a mischaracterization or a misguided view of the situation. So the situation isn't, oh, they don't deserve to get paid nearly as much or as much as this other job that is well-deserving job of more pay. No, what the actual narrative should be is they're gonna get paid almost as much or as much as you, which means that you are not getting paid nearly enough for your job either. And the other thing that'll happen is if the minimum wage gets raised, that's going to have a domino effect, right? So if the minimum wage gets raised, then it goes up, because as Bernie has said and other people have said, and this is completely true, unlike the stupid asinine idea of the Reagan administration where they invented the term trickle-down economics, which again does not work, because when rich people get money, they don't hand it down, they hoard it and they hide it, and then it never sees the light of day for anyone else, and it doesn't help anyone else ever. Real change starts from the bottom on up. So when the people that are here start making more money, then the people that are here will also see a pay raise, not maybe at the exact same time, but down the road, because it's like a domino effect. So it's completely a no-brainer. And it needs to happen. And I know Mitt Romney and some of the Republicans came back and said, oh, a $10 minimum wage. Nope, that's not good enough. No, we're not doing that. We're done with the negotiating, and we are done with the compromising. People deserve to have a life of dignity, and there are a majority of people in this country that don't have that because of the greed of a few, and that ends. That has to end now. That is the other thing that's been happening, is they've been fighting for that in the COVID relief bill, and I guess the Senate parliamentary today shot that down based on some claims that it was not within the laws, or not the laws, but the standards of the Senate. Now, interesting enough, Vice President Harris can definitely overturn that. If she will is another question, because Biden and Harris, they've been doing pretty good. I'm sorry to say I don't think it's been good enough. And I said from the very beginning, I voted for them, I supported them, but I would take them to task if there was things that I disagree with, and there are things that I disagree with. For one, I don't think they've been nearly aggressive enough on fighting for $15 minimum wage. They haven't been nearly aggressive enough fighting for the COVID relief itself. And somebody asked him about for giving up to, I believe it was $50,000 of student debt. And I think what he meant was he doesn't think he has the ability to do that through executive order. But the way it came off was that's a pie in the sky idea. There's no way we can ever do it. And so maybe we could do 10,000 at most, which again, unacceptable. We spend an astronomical amount on military spending, more than like the next 25 countries combined. And we could take a lot of that money and put it somewhere a lot better. And I'm not trying to naysay our military. I respect the people who go and fight for our freedom and all of that, but it's crazy. Again, we spent so much money on tanks that they literally had a surplus of tanks that they had to give to police forces. No goddamn police force should have a fucking tank. I'm sorry, and I know I usually don't swear this much, but I'm just very passionate about it. I apologize, but it is what it is. We could take that money, redistribute it to putting money towards minimum wage, putting money towards COVID relief, putting money towards infrastructure, putting money towards newer environmental technologies such as wind farms and solar panels, things that will actually benefit this country. They need to fight harder for that, and they haven't. And I hope that changes. But right now, they are doing what I feared, which was kind of trying to keep the status quo. And the other thing that pisses me off, they post all about these things of like, oh, we have this nominee for this position or this position, and like, oh, they're black, or oh, they're a woman, or oh, they're this ethnicity or that ethnicity, which again, in and of itself, it's great. But you're playing into that identity politics. Unfortunately, the Democrats do a lot. And again, to be fair, they're still head and shoulders better than most of the Republicans. The only thing that I will say for Republicans, and somebody posted this online and I agree, is Republicans usually cause people enough anger that they rise up. The thing that needs to happen is we need more Bernie Sanders, we need more Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we need more Ilhan Omar, we need more Rashida Tlaib, we need more Charles Booker, we need more Beto O'Rourke, and we need people like that with a fire who are gonna go and fight for the people. Because right now, Biden is, I think he's trying, but he's also getting more complacent with establishment Democrats, with establishment Republicans. And the idea of both parties working across the aisle is really nice. And I wish it could be that way, but it just can't. It can't. We've proven it time and time again. And the Republicans are really good when they're in power of just shoving through what they want and just steamrolling. And I don't like that tactic. You know what? I think it's time that the left embrace that a little bit, because the things that we want to do are actually helping people. There's a misconception, and I had this conversation with a friend at work the other day. There's a lot of people in the GOP who think that especially us younger millennial progressives are too optimistic or too, optimistic or unrealistic, and that we have too good of a view of people. Honestly, and this is going to sound bad, we recognize that a lot of people are not good people and that they are in it for themselves. But you know what? We want to help those people too. We want everyone to have a fair shot. And right now they don't. And that's the problem. I just hope the louder, more progressive fighting voices can prevail, and that we stop advertising or pushing this BS, non-change type, business as usual, Democratic, centrist, Republican, non-agenda where everything just stays the same, because that's done. We can't have that anymore. We need it to stop. I hope everyone in Texas again is doing well. And I really hope that we start fighting a lot damn harder for the people that need help. And that's what's going on with politics right now. Past politics. I've been talking about it every week. I'm gonna keep talking about it till it comes out, and maybe even after that. The Justice League, Zack Snyder cut. There was a trailer last weekend or 2 weekends ago now. Holy mother of God. For those of you who know me, who know Dawn of Justice, DC, Zack Snyder stuff, you'll know what I'm talking about. The theatrical cut, just to give people some background, and again, I'm gonna go nerdy here for people that don't care. You can tune out at whatever, but for people who do care, keep watching. The theatrical cut ended up being 2 hours long because Snyder had begun filming. Unfortunately, his daughter committed suicide. Horrible situation. He left the project, obviously deal with family issues, and Warner Brothers, instead of waiting for him to come back, gave it over to Joss Whedon, who we have now learned is a human piece of trash, sexist, misogynistic, harassing piece of garbage, and he made that movie into a steaming pile of crap. Theatrical cut, not great. The Snyder cut's gonna be 4 hours long, so it's literally 2 hours of additional footage, and they said that there's gonna be none of the Whedon reshoots in it, which I'm so excited for. All the trailers I kept noticing for that movie, it looked like a square instead of the normal widescreen. So apparently Snyder has a very big love of IMAX cameras, and he filmed the entire thing with IMAX cameras. So you're gonna get, instead of the traditional black bars on the top and bottom, you're gonna get the black bars on the sides, which I'll be curious to see how that works out. There's a lot more of the nightmare stuff, the nightmare scene with Batman and stuff like that, which again, if you're into it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then Darkseid. Oh, Darkseid looks so good. Would probably make Thanos run scared, is all I'm saying. And also, Steppenwolf looks a lot better. His armor looks way better. He doesn't look like a Disney-fied version of himself. The thing I didn't expect at all, at the end of the trailer, we hear a voiceover and I was like, hold up, that sounds familiar. But what do you know? It's Jared Leto's Joker, and he looks so much better than he did in Suicide Squad, which again, leave it to Zack Snyder to make something kind of shitty pretty great. I am more than ready for that, and I believe it'll be 3 weeks from Thursday or yesterday. Stay tuned, we'll definitely have more news, but I might even try to do like a live watch with that, or at least definitely review it after it comes out. Other than that, folks, that's all I've got for you this week. It was good to have a little bit of a break, but I'm glad to be back with all of you, and I hope that you are all, as we say in the spirit of Real Talk, going on with the spirit and essence of peace. Love your neighbor, even those who disagree with you, even though those who might have different beliefs. We're all in this together, right? And I've said this before, we're all in this together, this grand human experiment. We're not going to get anywhere if we don't have love for each other. Find common ground with people. And again, I say that not meaning to compromise, but find common ground in the sense of like, we don't have to hate one another just because we have different views. Even people who I have very opposing views to, I try to find things that we connect on, because hate and mass anger towards individuals does nothing. You can have hate and anger towards an idea or a group that exemplifies non-acceptance, but you should always try to have love for individuals. That's the basis of everything. I'm deep diving into that, but it's true. So I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic week. We will be back with brand new episode next week. Until then, stay safe, stay warm. You are loved. You are amazing. We will see you on the next one. Real Talk out.